I want to get into the hotel business. What's the first thing that I do?
The first thing you want to do is make sure that you're financially capable of getting into the hotel business.
What does that look like?
So
let's talk about on the personal side.
So on the personal side, so it's two directions you can go. You can go the passive route, you can go the active route. So what you just said as far as with the multifamily you were talking before, it sounded like you went with the passive route because somebody else is running it for you. You just invested passively.
Okay, so that's passively.
So that's passive. It's like, because you have a business that you know, you're running, this is your baby. You like, let me just let my money grow and somebody's going to handle it. That's the passive route. So that's one route you can go. Okay, but you still want to make sure you have enough money that you can lose because investing is risky. Yes. So I don't recommend for people to invest their life savings or if they're saving up for a house. Right. I don't recommend anybody to do that, no matter how good the deal is, because it's risky and you don't know if you're going to get it back.
Anything you're investing.
Exactly, right? So that's one route.
Okay.
So the next route be if you want to own it yourself. Like if you want your name on the mortgage, name on the franchising agreement, you probably need to be capitalized, at least have depending on the size of the deal, but $500,000 to $1 million. And that doesn't just have to come from you. Okay. It could be you got 100, you got 4 of the friends, they got 100 each, now y'all got $500,000. So
it will be in my name. So let's say I got me, you, I got my producer, and my right-hand man, Alice, right? So that's 4 of us in this building right now. Yeah. So let's say we all come up with $500,000, we give it to you. Mm-hmm. You take that $500,000, but the mortgage is in your name, and then you will make contracts with us saying I'm an investor into your
That's hotel. The passive route.
Okay, so.
And if you want to do, like, let's say we all come together and we form a partnership and you want to be a GP, then that's the active route. So maybe, your role, my role could be I'm raising capital or something or negotiating, with the brands. And maybe since you have relationships with the banks, then you're working on the bank side. Like everybody has a role. And so since everybody has a role, so maybe you put in like 150, somebody else put this, and then your equity split can be based off what you contributed to the table.
So the average person is not going to have $500,000 to invest.
Some people do. Some people don't.
Especially if they're going to capital route as far as in getting the capital.
Yeah. People typically on the first time, unless they come from a different, like a well-off background, typically people I don't see it too much.
Too much? All right, cool. So let me answer this question. And I'm going to answer with you. Okay. If I'm drowning in debt. Okay. On my personal side of things, should I go borrow another $500,000 to invest into the hotel? Think about that answer.
No, and I'm not a financial advisor, and I always say to that, talk to your financial advisor because every situation is different. But it's like, if you have $500,000 and then you got personal. You're drowning in debt. I don't personally think that may be the best decision. That's why I was saying that the first thing you should do is check your personal financial statement, right? Or check your personal balance sheet. And if you don't know how to do that, then work with the financial. So that's why I always say that's the first thing.
She cool with me, y'all.
That's the first thing.
She cool. She cool with me. Because I was gonna let her answer. I want her to be her true self because she got 30 million. She's sitting on 30 million in her portfolio. So I always respect everyone's opinion. But no, if you drowning in debt.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that.
Don't do that.
I get that a lot. People are like, oh, my credit is messed up. I'm like, go ahead and get your credit fixed first.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then come back. It's okay. Just go ahead and get that taken care of.
And here's my thing. Why are we building on a rocky foundation?
Right, exactly.
And as I'm growing, as I'm evolving, I am changing just a little bit of my ways. And I think when it comes to real estate, especially within the Black community, we need to become owners. Yeah. And that is why I invested the passive route. Right. And I gave 6 figures because you're right. I have this business, this brand that I'm building.
Well, that's not your expertise, right? Yeah. And then it's going to take you so long. Now you're taking away from what you're really doing, exactly. What's your passion to focus on this. You know what I mean?
And that's not. So let's say someone says, oh, you know what? I don't have $500,000. I don't have the opportunity to do that right now. I just got out of debt. I've just now built my emergency funds, so I only have $10,000, $15,000 right now. It sounds like their route may be going towards like
the passive.
The passive.
Yeah, their route is the passive.
And you are now even offering like a fund type thing, right?
Yep, it's a crowdfunding platform. It's called Vestor.
Vestor.
Yep, okay, yep. So we are probably one of the first crowdfunding platforms for hotels.
So break this down, and I'm talking about to the kindergarten level because my people are like, okay, what are y'all talking about this?
What's crowdfunding?
What is crowdfunding?
Crowdfunding, essentially what it is old school. Is people pulling their funds of money together. Remember that 15,000 example you just used?
Yep.
So, let's say 10 people coming together at 15,000. Now you got 150,000. You know. So let's say Anthony, you wanted to buy your hotel.
Right.
Right, but you needed $1 million, and you only had 100,000.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
And so you put the deal on the platform on investor.com. We go through the due diligence and everything, and so you want to raise the rest of the funds. So now we have folks from your community or friends and family. They can actually invest. They can come in at the 10,000 because maybe they didn't have 100,000. So they can come at the 10,000. Maybe they could partner with their family. They got 5 the other thing, and they can come in and now they can invest. And this crowdfunding platform, both accredited and non-accredited folks can invest. And so what an accredited investor, for those who don't know, accredited investor is someone who makes over $200,000 a year or has a net worth of $1 million or more.
Okay.
And not everybody are accredited investors.
Right.
But that also leaves a lot of people from not investing in great opportunities.
Right.
Because of a lot of the great opportunities where people really make their wealth, only accredited investors can invest.
So what's a non-accredited?
So a non-accredited investor is anyone who falls under that category. So let's say you have you make $100,000 a year, and you have a net worth of $900,000, excluding your primary residence.
Right.
Technically, you're not an accredited investor. You have to make over $200,000 a year, and you have to have a net worth of $1 million or more, excluding your primary residence.
Wow.
And by the SEC's definition, that means you're an accredited investor.
Wow.
And if you're married, you have to have a combined income of over $300,000.
So, okay, let's say this person, non-accredited, comes in and says, all right, I got 5,000.
Yeah.
I know like what my program just did, right? But what would you say is the bare minimum if they're not investing with you, right? And they go into another fund, they're brand new into this. What should they be looking for up front? So I'm giving, Davonne $5,000. Am I looking for $5,000 back plus 5%, 10%?
Now, it depends on the deal. So every deal is different. Every deal is going to be structured different. So you want to go in and ask these questions. You may, and this is just due diligence regardless if a hotel or not. Who is the sponsor? Meaning who is putting the deal together? Does this person have experience? Have they closed before? Who are the members on their team? Ask them those tough questions. When are you going to get your money back? How are you going to get your money back? Is it dividends? Ask those types of questions. Regardless if it's $5,000 or $100,000 or $1 million. Ask still those tough questions.
Tough questions.
Oh yeah, it's your money. You worked hard for it.
Yeah. I said, when am I getting my money back? How much can I expect in return? How many of these have you done? How long have you been in it?
Who's on your team?
I didn't ask that question.
Who's on your team?
I think I may text them.
Yeah, you want to ask on your team because you can't nobody knows everything.
Got you.
So you want to have a team, and that includes lawyer.
Oh.
It includes who's going to manage the property, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably the most important person on the team, if not the most important. Literally, because the operator is going to be operating the business day to day. So you're looking at a multifamily, that's the property management company.
Wow.
So how are they marketing? How are they keeping tenants in? How are they resolving tenant issues because you want to keep that apartment complex full? Wow. How are they managing the cash flow?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So hotels, same thing with the management company.
Okay.
How are they operating your hotel? It's a service-based business, right? So how are they taking care of your guests? Because if you don't take care of your guests, they're not going to come back.
Gotcha.
And you have to shut down the hotel. How are they managing the cash flow, right?
Gotcha.
And then if you're not an experienced hotelier, then you need to have an asset manager to manage the management company. Because if you don't know what you're doing, you're just going to believe the management company. And then, at the end of the day, nobody's going to take care of your property like you.
Yeah, right.
So you need to have somebody that's on your team that'll be able to advise you to make sure that your property is profitable so that way you can take care of yourself. And if you have any investors, making sure the investors get their money back.